To a tennis player, a tennis racket is a very important thing. But to a racket stringer, it's a way of life.
You're not going to like it here, ladies, are you?
No, sir.
I can't hear you! No, sir! There's only one thing worse than a slimy civilian, and that's a bad stringer. There will be no bad stringers coming out of here. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir!
Do you?
Yes, sir!
Do you?
Yes, sir!
In on 6 and tie on 5.
Over, under.
Ain't no choking, ain't no drive.
Over, under.
Racket stringers never die.
Over, under.
They see them rackets in the sky.
Over, under.
Racket stringers take great pride
Over, under.
in laying them doubles side by side.
Over, under. Push them. Over, under. Push them. Pull them out. Over, under. Push them. Pull them out. Over, under. Push them. Pull them out. Over, under.
The stringing machine holds the racket rigid and provides a means for placing proper tension on the strings and holding that tension throughout the process of stringing. Many rackets will have a slight warp. If there is a slight warp, the frame is placed concave side down on the machine and the tension of the strings will tend to straighten the racket out. The goal of the stringer is to lay the strings in such a way as to maximize both performance and wear. To ensure against premature string breakage, the stringer will make sure that all the surfaces where the string bears against wood are smooth and rounded. This is accomplished by chiseling and burning. The depth of the grooves are checked to make sure they are deep enough so the string rests below the surface of the wood and is protected. Along with making the grooves sufficiently deep, the corners are chiseled off so the bearing surface is rounded. Grooves that hold two strings, called doubled grooves, are fashioned so that the strings will lay parallel to one another and not cross over. After chiseling, the racket is burned out. A length of string is used to smooth out all the areas where the string bears against wood.
Burn, 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 burn.
In the double grooves, two strings are used. Now the racket is clean and ready for strings. The vertical or main strings are laid in first. For this, the stringer measures off 16 1/2 feet. The string is inserted into the top groove and, keeping both sides even, pulled out through the bottom holes. The main clamps are installed and one side of the string is clamped. The weights are set to the proper tension, and that depends on the player. A beginner will choose a looser string job around 50 pounds for maximum control. The advanced player usually chooses a tighter job, on 60 pounds or more for greater power. The foot pedal is depressed, raising the weights and drawing in the head clamp. The string is wrapped around and clamped, and the weights lowered, applying tension to the string. The experienced stringer can tell if the tension is right by the feel and sound of the string. To hold tension, the other main clamp is used. This racket is being strung with a nylon string. Nylon is used in most rackets. It usually wears longer than gut and is less expensive. Serious tennis players, however, prefer gut. Gut is processed from lamb or beef intestine and is more resilient than synthetic strings. This gives the player both greater power and control. When laying in gut strings, the stringer must exercise greater care, not allowing the gut to fray or the individual strands to unravel. In laying in the last main string on each side, to take up the slack, the stringer places tension on the string, and that tension is held by carefully but firmly inserting it all into the hole. Care must be taken not to spike the string. With the awl holding tension, 2 half hitches are made. The awl removed. The excess string clipped. The main strings are in. The main clamps are removed and replaced by the cross string clamps. 15.5 feet will be used for the cross strings. Notice that on the outside of the frame, the holes alternate high and low, while on the inside they are even. With this in mind, the stringer counts down 6 holes from the top and inserts the string. As this is a low hole slanting upward through the frame, the string has a natural tendency to slant up, going over the first main string. This pattern is adhered to throughout the string job. The string is woven across to the 6th hole on the other side, brought up and through the 5th hole where it is tied off. As the string is pulled through, it is kept in motion up and down to avoid wearing grooves in the main strings. Sometimes the stringer will find it difficult to get the 2nd or 3rd string through the hole. The passageway may be enlarged with an awl.
Couldn't hack till I learned to string a racket. Now you know I wouldn't fly. I don't care if I'm a swinger, I just want to be a stringer, string rackets till I die. And when I get old and start to fade, I'm going to move my stringing machine in the shade. And St. Peter's going to say, I got a weak front stroke and the strings are broke, I'm going to need you by and by. Oh, my stringing rackets in the sky.
The stringer will also find it much easier to get through a tight hole if he keeps a good point on the string. Finally, the last cross string is laid in and tied off to the adjacent cross string. The racket is removed from the machine and the strings are straightened with a blunt awl. The racket is given a final inspection.
And hoop!
Checking for warp, string depth and grooves, knots, doubles, loose strings, skips, the general condition of the strings, and tension.
And tie on 5.
Over, under.
Ain't no shucking, ain't no jive.
Over, under.
Racket stringers never die.
Over, under.
They're stringing them rackets.